This is the same shit Jiang says, but because he says Illuminati word, he's a crank. Yes, brother, exactly. Because his analysis is not backed by solid fundamentals. Yes. And if your analysis is not backed by a solid fundamentals or anchored by like a understandable, decipherable worldview that still pertains to the material realities, and instead a whole bunch of hokum like Illuminati shit, then yeah, you're a crank. It's so ridiculous that there are still, predictive history defenders here. He's like 90% of the way there. He's always like, he delivers a very convincing response. His predictions actually are not that different from the things that I have said as well. But then the last 10% of his analysis is fucking insane. You can arrive at a correct assessment while still, it's like Alex Jones, okay? Alex Jones is right when he said attack helicopters and people are going to get black bagged and put inside of FEMA facilities. He was right about that. Mass surveillance, he was right about that. But whatever the fuck he was anchoring his opinion off of was like lizard people, okay? And of course, that's the reason why in a long enough timeline, you watch him unwind and you watch him fucking come up with like insane, grand, fabulous conspiracies that are totally ridiculous. That's such an uncharitable reading. You've literally been catching up to Jiang. I've been catching up to Jiang, 31-month subscriber. You are literally getting mad at Jiang clips the same way people clip you. Oh my God. Oh my God, I have to purge this community of all of the fucking Jimmy Dore style freaks, please. Oh my God, I just need a whiteboard, I think. That'll be incredibly convincing for these guys. Listen, this community is comprised of people that are heterodox thinkers, okay? Because socialism, communism in the Western world is not a normal ideology that people share, okay? It's not the same as China, okay? Where the norm is to be like, yeah, I'm learning about Marxist-Leninism in college. I'm living in a country that is controlled by a communist party. We live in the heart of capital. We live in the heart of capitalism. And therefore, a lot of people, if they don't anchor their worldview in dialectical materialism, end up finding themselves in the throes of cranks, okay? And this is a very large community that has, a lot of unorthodox values, and therefore some of them are finding themselves in the throes of the people who don't offer all of the soundest analysis. I admit he gets into crazy ideas in history class, but they are silly, but the analysis is good. Okay. I've been saying Jiang is like the Joe Rogan of Geopol, dumb guy, smart guy, and you collabing with him would unironically bring a ton of new people. I mean, I want to talk to him. I've reached out to him because I want to understand like where he's coming from. Because like from what I understand, yeah, like this one is crazy. He said Israel and Germany are going to be the great superpowers. America done. China done. The next great empires, Germany, Japan, Israel. Not because they're powerful now, but because they've been destroyed before. Humiliation is the greatest teacher in history. The nations that suffer the most are building the world that comes next. In a lot of these circumstances, like, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of those Twitter accounts. It reminds me of those Twitter accounts that make predictions, right? Like 1 million predictions and then delete the predictions that they made that look silly. Okay? Do you understand? Because the predictions that are made that are silly can always be deleted. Or in this case, if you have a faucet of videos that you're putting out there that are reaching like peak virality because all the right ones are reaching people's attention. People see the first video, they don't see the second one, or people see the second video, they don't see the first one, and they go, wow, people do this all the time. As a person who watched Jiang's lectures for hours, he's definitely cuckoo. If you watch his videos on religion and start a civilization, he equivocates religion and science. He's a master of mysticizing. He also does post hoc rationalization to readjust quite a bit after his predictions fail. I mean, I know he talked to Sneeko. He also talked to Richard Spencer. But like, I just thought that's because he's all over the place. He's just trying to get the word out to the best of his ability. For a lot of people, they don't see the full scope of the commentary, and they just see bits and pieces, and they just get stuck on it, and they develop like a lot of, I guess in some ways, like a parasocial. a parasocial association with this content. I don't want to do a takedown of Professor Jiang. I want to talk to Professor Jiang. I don't think he will talk to me because I have kind of called him a crank before, but it's just like, and people will say all these clips are out of context, except you fail to consider that I've talked to the people that have interviewed Professor Jiang, asked them how the fuck they arrived at that conclusion.
There are different names for these people. You can call them like Illuminati. And the Illuminati are composed of three major groups, okay? You have the Jesuits, who control the Vatican. You have the Sephardim Frankists, which control the modern state of Israel today. And you have the Freemasons, which control the national security apparatus of the United States. And they believe that Israel, this war in the Middle East, is key to the end times in creating heaven on earth. So it's almost like a script that they're following, even though it doesn't make any geopolitical sense. Okay, so I would say that these three are the best reasons why this is happening.
Wow. Wow. Sagar. Wow. Bro, I was excited when I first saw him and was talking about using game theory for predicting the future. I thought he was going to actually do some game theory, and it was just his speculations based on a lot of unconventional but true statements. The game theory is just a scenario with interests of some of the parties he lists beforehand. It sort of makes sense to the listener who is primed into believing his sensational speculations. I just want you all to know that no one knows who this guy is in China, and we're all laughing at you for listening to him. Okay, calm down. I don't think he has any good takes, Law. No, he does. He absolutely does. We're just looking at all the bad takes in a row. That's why it's like hard to defend. The reason, if you are wondering why so many people, even in this fucking community, are like actively trying to ride for Dr. Jiang, is because he does have a lot of viral videos that are like pretty on the money with respect to like American ambitions in the region and how it's like failing. So, well, Jiang is more popular than you on Bilibili, so I agree with that disagree with that former chatter. I cannot believe that I literally sidestepped away from two actual brilliant thinkers that have spent a lifetime, Chris Hedges being a investigative reporter that has broke incredible fucking stories, and Professor Mersheimer, who is probably one of the most important realpolitik academics in the country, to literally watch Professor Jiang clip compilations. We are a deeply unserious community. What the fuck is wrong with me? And what the fuck is wrong with you? Oh my God. We literally took this sidestep because someone literally said, Professor Jiang and Professor Mersheimer agree on everything. I'm so stupid. I'm going back to serious shit, please. I remembered I have free will. That's what happened. So I could lock in. A chatter said, I can't believe a 31-month subscriber said, I'm just catching up to Professor Jiang's analysis. I'm sorry. Professor Mersheimer, I can't take you seriously. You do not have a whiteboard where you're overemphasizing certain words.